What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I'm your host, the one and only Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, of course, is the legendary Alexis Arguello Puppet. We are back with another banger of an episode. Y'all know how we get down here. The most amazing and real boxing conversations anywhere on planet Earth. Legends, luminaries, world champions, fighters on the come up, all coming here to chop it up with yours truly, your boy Reckless Rexx. Today is no different. We got another great episode as we continue the summer of Hagler. Why? Because it just is. My guest is here, so we're going to get down to it and chop it up right away. Here we go, diving in like we do. And we will get him in here. All you got to do is just bring that camera up, my man. Can you hear me okay? Microphone and camera down there. Gotcha. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Hey, thanks for doing this, man, and on such short notice, man. I hope I didn't leave you waiting too long, man.
No, not a problem at all.
First of all, man, thank you, and it's a pleasure to meet you, man.
Likewise.
Yeah, so listen, man, I'm glad you jumped on here, and usually when I start these interviews, I kind of like to go back to the beginning a little bit, man. For you, Josh Torres, when did the journey start for you? How early on in life did you get a pair of boxing gloves on?
I picked up a pair of boxing gloves at a real young age, probably about 8 or 9. My dad bought me a pair, and I used to throw them on with my brothers and my cousins, and I fell in love with just fighting, I guess. Not so much boxing, but just fighting. And I tried to get in boxing. My mom never let me do it because I was her only son. So she put me in other sports, and of course, I did it to make her happy. But at the end of the day, I always loved fighting. And finally, when I was about 14, I finally actually got into a boxing gym, joined a team, and the rest was history after that.
So mom was trying to stand in the way. This is an interesting point, man, because a lot of fathers are gung-ho to get their kids in the gym, but mothers not so psyched to hear that their sons want to get punched in the face for a living. She
still doesn't enjoy watching me fight. She's still begging me to retire, man. She's hopeful for that last fight, but I keep telling her we got a lot of fight left in us, so she'll have to wait.
And so is she able to attend the fights, or will she not even go to that point?
She goes, but she stresses it. She's always the most panicked and stressed, but she's always the loudest at the same time. She loves to watch me fight, and she's my biggest fan, one of my biggest supporters.
And when you got into the sport, were there guys that you were watching on TV that you kind of looked up to?
I always loved Miguel Cotto. He was always one of my favorite fighters. And of course, Arturo Gatti was, a warrior. I loved watching his fights.
One of my favorites.
Oscar De La Hoya was, skillful fighter. A lot of different of those style of fighters.
So for people that haven't seen you fight or don't know what you do, out of your 27 wins, now I'm going to look here now, 15 knockouts. So that's a little more than half your fights. So how would you assess your style? There's guys that are boxer punchers. There's guys that are knockout artists. There's guys that are technical boxers. What would be how you would assess your style of fighting?
I would say I'm a boxer puncher.
Yeah.
80 to 90% of the time, I'm a come forward aggressive style, but I've also had fights where I've had to box a little bit, move, and pick my shots. So I've done a little bit of everything. And even though I only have 15 knockouts out of my 27 wins, I feel like it's a little deceiving because I feel like I have a little more pop than that. And anybody that's been in the ring will tell you that they tell me that, I have a lot more power than my record shows, because earlier in my career, I wasn't very confident in my conditioning. So a lot of times I would knock guys down. In some of the fights that I went the distance, I've had knockdowns in those fights. And I just, in the back of my mind, I was a little worried to push full throttle because I wasn't 100% believer in my conditioning at that time.
And do you ever worry about, and again, people that watch my podcast certainly know that I've been critical of sometimes we do still unfortunately see bad judging in the game. When your fights have gone to the cards, have there been any that you've particularly worried about in the back of your mind? Like, oof, I don't know if this is going to go my way. I don't know if this is going to turn out good for me. Have you had those moments? How do you deal with that as a fighter?
I've had a few. And I've had some that have gone, the other way where we felt we did enough to win. But that's part of the boxing game. As a seasoned fighter, I've just learned to adapt and to grow. But in the moment, as a young fighter, I think the biggest thing is just to trust in your conditioning, trust in your training, and believe that you have what it takes to be victorious in that ring.
Now, let me go away from your career for a second. Just because we are a couple of weeks away from, and we get so few of these, you know what I mean? I think back to like, Floyd and Manny, you know what I mean? We don't get a lot of these fights that are dubbed super fights. So we are a couple of weeks away from seeing Canelo and Bud Crawford. Subjectively, what is your opinion? How do you see that fight shaking out?
Man, that's a great fight. I love the matchup. I've always been a big Canelo follower, and I've always been a Crawford fan. So it's a big fight for me. I think that Canelo has the size advantage, obviously, and the experience. But I mean, Crawford's a dog.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to give Canelo a lot of problems if he fights majority of the fight as a southpaw. I think that Canelo's always struggled with southpaws. You look back at like when he fought Austin Trout, some of those guys that were lefties, I think they gave him trouble. So I think it'll be a big factor if Crawford stays southpaw majority of the fight. But I feel like if Canelo catches him clean, I feel like Crawford's going to have problems taking those kind of big shots. I think he's been hurt before by smaller opponents. So if Canelo catches him clean, I think he's going to have problems.
And so correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but are you currently still fighting at welterweight?
Yes, still at welterweight, 147.
And is that a weight that you've always been at? And are you open to exploring other weight classes? And if so, where are you comfortable fighting?
Well, I started my career at about 140, and then I went, 147, came back to 140, won some smaller WBC titles at 140. And I think even to this day, I can make 140. It's a lot harder for me now. And I feel a lot more comfortable at 147. And as far as moving up in weight, I don't know if I'd ever move up to 154 just because I don't really have too much height. I'm only, 5'7", 5'8" with my shoes on. So those guys at 154 are monsters, man. And I think I make 147 comfortably enough to where I can carry out the rest of my career at welterweight.
Now, we just talked about Bud and Canelo, but, obviously you're a fighter first, but you also got to be a fan of the sport. Who are some other guys that you enjoy that are doing it right now that you enjoy watching?
I love Xander Zayas. I mean, he's a huge up-and-coming contender. He just won his first world title. I think he's good. Virgil Ortiz, despite all his health issues in the past, I think he still has, a bright future ahead of him. Let's see. Boots, I mean, as soon as we can get Boots to fight someone with a big name, he has tons of talent. I seen him fight here in New Mexico early in his career, and a lot of people were telling me, oh, this is the future, and seeing him fight live, I mean, he's a star, so he has a lot of potential. I want to see more action from him, some bigger fights from him. Those are just a few. And
so you fought last around this time last June?
Yes. So it's been a little over a year.
And so explain why the inactivity. Has something been going on? Has it been tough to get fights, injuries, anything like that? Like, what have you been going through?
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little sweaty because I'm in my
box.
All right. As you can see.
That's all right.
So the inactivity is mainly because of injuries. After my last fight, we had a couple of fights scheduled for later on in that year, and just some getting old type injuries that I've dealt with in the past that I just never addressed, and they finally caught up to me. So we had to push some of those back, and then we were scheduled to fight earlier this year in April, a huge fight going down at the Pit. I don't know if you saw it. It was a big promotion that was going down.
Yep.
That one fell through. They canceled it like the week of the fight, so that was a bummer. We had a full camp for that one. And then again, I was going to fight. Actually, I was supposed to fight this coming weekend on the 23rd, I believe it is. And I rolled my ankle. I was out running, training for the fight, doing my road work, and just a freak accident, man. I just didn't see a tiny little crack in the road, not even a few inches wide, and it was just enough to make me roll the ankle. So I fractured it. So, that set me out for a few weeks, but I'm out of the boot. I'm back in the gym this week, actually. Hopefully I'll be jogging in the next couple of weeks. So if all goes well, we'll be scheduling something hopefully maybe in November at the latest.
Frustrating, right? Frustrating, man. Like when you, the injury part is frustrating, but the event falling through the last minute like that for a fighter has got to be frustrating when you've put in all that preparation.
Dude, and not just that, but I don't know if you're real familiar with New Mexico or Albuquerque, but the Pit is the home of the Lobos. and
Yeah.
it's just such a huge historic venue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there hasn't been boxing there since Johnny Tapia. So the fact that I was going to be able to fight there, I mean, he was my trainer before he passed away, so I'm one of his prodigies. And man,
Legend.
to
Yeah.
just to say that I was
Legend.
going to fight at the pit, it was exciting, and it was just a huge letdown that it never went through.
I've actually had Danny Romero on the podcast, and of course, those two had a legendary battle against each other. Man, the battle of
Yeah,
the battle of Albuquerque.
classic for sure.
Yeah, and so talk to me a little bit about that's interesting, man. Like what kind of stuff, I mean, having Johnny Tapia as a mentor, as a coach, as a trainer, I mean, like as a guiding force, early in your career, man. What kind of stuff did you learn from him that has stuck with you?
One of the things that I learned from him, the biggest thing that I took from Johnny Tapia was to love what you do. He taught me to love boxing, to want to do it, not just do it because you were good at it or because you saw it as a job or something that you had to do something like that. But he really taught me, if you're gonna do it, he told me you better love it. And ever since then, I mean, you see this boxing gym right here. This is my home.
Yeah.
I really made boxing my life, and it really grew on me. And to see how much passion that he had for it, it made it grow in me. Instead of just being able to fight and being good at fighting, I said, you know what? I love this sport. This sport has given me so much, and it's time to give back. So that's one of the biggest things. And then another thing is just, his excitement. He was always full of life.
Yeah.
So I think I learned more from Johnny outside of the ring than I did inside of the ring. Although he was a great trainer. I mean, he did teach me a lot fundamentally and things about boxing, but more so he taught me, things about life.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you right now?
I'm 35. I will be 36 at the end of the year.
And so where do you feel like you are right now in terms of your prime? Because I've had a lot of guys on here recently, and I ask them that question, and we always used to equate a prime, especially with an athlete, as a guy with a younger body. But you do, but we are seeing guys in the sport, Bud Crawford, for example, Alexander Usyk, Artur Beterbiev, these guys that are up there in age, but they've connected the dots mentally, which I think also makes you very dangerous and puts you in your prime. I mean, you figured out a lot of stuff mentally. Mental is a big part of the boxing game. So at 35, where do you feel like you are in terms of your prime? You're not a guy like Canelo with 60, 65 fights in your belt. I mean? So your mileage is somewhat moderate. Well, how do you feel? Where do you feel like you lie in terms of your prime?
I feel like I'm a very young 35, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you asked because, like I said earlier, I do feel like I have a lot of fight left in me. Obviously, I don't feel like I'm at my prime, at my peak, but I do feel like a young 35. I feel like a pretty strong 35-year-old, and I think that I have some good fights left in me. Of course, with the right matchmaking and those kind of things, you know how boxing works. But
Yep.
Again, I haven't been in too many wars. So like you said, I don't have a lot of miles on me, and I think there's a lot of good fights to be made still in the future.
What would you like? Well, let me ask you first. Have you thought about, how long you'd like to be in the sport? Like I've had guys on here that are very calculated about knowing, hey, I don't want to still be taking punches past a certain age, or I don't want to fight more than X amount of fights. Have you thought about your career on that level, or are you kind of just playing it by ear at this point?
At this point, I mean, I'm just enjoying the ride, man. I've had such a blessed career and met so many great people. And to think that I almost hung up the gloves at a real young, early stage in my career because things weren't going my way, coming off a couple of losses, people telling me I shouldn't do this. I almost hung them up a really long time ago. And to think if I would have done that, I would have missed out on so much.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, boxing has given me so much, whether it's the people that I've met, the places that I've seen. So, I don't like to think about hanging them up because I don't know what's in the future. Who else am I going to meet? Where else am I going to travel?
Right.
What else am I going to be able to experience? So I try not to put a cap on it. I just, like you said, I go with the flow. I definitely want to box for at least a couple more years. And it's funny you ask because the wife asks me all the time, when are you going to hang them up? She gets tired of me always training and dieting and things like that. But like I said earlier, I love the sport. I love the game. So I got at least a few more years left in me.
And what would you like to accomplish? Obviously, guys set certain goals in the sport. I mean, a lot of guys, enjoy going to a lot of weight classes. Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, 6, 7, 8 weight classes and winning gold. A guy like Bud Crawford, not as many weight classes, but he likes to gobble up all 4 belts, become undisputed. I mean, certain guys have different things they want to accomplish. For you, what would you like to accomplish before you exit the sport? I mean, like, what goals have you set for yourself?
To be honest, I've already accomplished most of them. The people here in my hometown, I'm somewhat of a homeway hero, you can say.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever be, a pay-per-view star, things like that. I think that's that bus has already left. World championships, none of that really attracts me. I just want to inspire the ones that do look up to me, the ones around me, the ones that I have influence over. I just want to inspire them to say, you know what? World titles, things like that, money, none of that's important. Just be your best, try your best, and do your best. And that's what I want to do the remainder of my career. One goal I do want to set, though, it may or may not happen, is maybe transferring over to the bare knuckle world. I mean, like I said, the bus might have already left for world titles in boxing, but maybe we can go capture a title in bare knuckle and finish off our career over there on that side. But like I said, we'll see what the future has in store.
Oh, Josh, that's gonna really thrill the wife.
Yeah, she won't be too happy. She's still not happy every time I tease her about it, but like I said, we'll see what happens, man.
Well, listen, Paulie Malignaggi is coming back and going back to the bare knuckle route, and he's a guy that's had a lot of problems with his hands, a lot of surgeries on his hands. He's probably a guy who would be the least qualified candidate to go in. I mean, he's got the skill set, obviously, but he's had lots of physical problems, like with his hands. But it is kind of still like a way to kind of like, I guess keep your career going, should you want to continue into your older years.
Yeah. Paulie Malignaggi and our hometown state champion Austin Trout, he's doing it. He's taking over the game.
Yeah,
and he's almost 40, man, or he's getting up there. I don't know how old exactly he is, but so I mean, there's still hope for those older guys. I mean, we're veterans, but like you said earlier, we're experienced, and I think that's what makes the difference.
And what do you see the big glaring differences are? I mean, like, obviously, it's the protective gear over your hands or whatever, but it sounds like this is something that you've looked into, that you've researched on some level. This doesn't sound like just some kind of fly-by-night idea. I mean, I feel like you're the kind of guy that's looked into this a little bit already. Are there concerns? Is there a drastic difference for people that don't know? I mean, like, what would that transition, appear like or look like to you?
I think one of the biggest concerns for me would be cuts, because it's bare knuckle, obviously. Yeah. And secondly, I think the hands, like you said, Paulie Malignaggi having the hand injuries and things like that.
Yeah.
I haven't always had the best hands either. I've had hand injuries because of my power. So I think I'd be worried more so about my hands and things like that than any kind of physical damage on my body. But I think the transition wouldn't be too bad. I think boxers, we have a strong IQ with striking. So I think I would have a big advantage in the game. And I have done my research and I have done my digging, because I actually trained a bare knuckle fighter for the BKFC. His name was Josh Moreno, and we got him up to 3-0 with 3 knockouts. So I've kind of dissected the game from the inside out, and I've seen it from both sides. So I think I can use that to my success in the future.
Now, you kind of sound like a guy with a very old school kind of throwback mentality. At least that's a vibe I'm getting off you. What do you think, if I can ask your opinion on like a guy like Jake Paul? Do you view him as a valid fighter? Do you like what he's done for the sport? I ask that question on here a lot because he is such a polarizing figure in the boxing world. There are people who give him his just due. He does climb between those ropes. Well, we don't know if these fights are rigged. I mean, obviously no one has been able to prove anything, but he does bring eyes to the sport. He's done a lot of good things for the women's part of the game. But what's your opinion on him?
I'm somewhere in the middle, because I'm not a Jake Paul hater and I'm not a huge fan of him, but I do like what he's done for the sport. Like you said, he pays the fighters well. He puts on huge shows, brings so much attention to the sport. I mean, you can't really hate the guy for doing what he's doing. And a lot of people want to say, well, he hasn't fought this guy or he hasn't done enough. But in the time that he's been in the game, he's done a lot. If you look at other fighters and the beginning of their careers, that's
Yeah.
exactly what they do. They fight guys with losing records. They
Yep.
fight guys, and this guy's already fighting, 8 rounds, and it's really unheard of. So, I mean, props to the guy. He gets in the gym, he puts in the training, and he gets in there. And like you said, we don't know if the fights are rigged. That I will say is who knows. But I mean, at the end of the day, he is training. He's getting in that ring in front of a crowd. He's taking some licks and he's giving some licks. So I got to give him his props.
I know you can accomplish anything in the sport with money. Obviously, he has plenty of that, and he has a backing, and he's got like certainly he's got his own promotional company or everything. But do you think he's world championship level? Do you think we'll ever see a world title on him? I've asked that question of other people, and they say, of course, with money, the systems, the rankings, some of that stuff can be manipulated or whatever. But do you think we ever see him as a world champion level fighter?
I think maybe in a couple of years or a few years, I think it's very, very possible that we see him capture at least a minor belt. I mean, not to be a hater, but he got guys like Rolly who win world titles, and there's just so many different alphabet belts that it's not out of the realm that he can win a world title. And when you have the kind of power that Jake Paul has, anything can happen in a boxing match. So I think it's a big possibility that happens. Yeah.
Are there fights that have happened? I know we're a little more than halfway. We're a little more past the halfway point of 2025. Have there been fights that have particularly stuck out to you this year that you've enjoyed seeing as a fan? Are there any coming up that you're, for the rest of 2025 that you're particularly looking forward to seeing happen?
Oh, let's see. One of the more recent fights that I watched was Jojo Diaz and can't think of his name, left-hander.
Who the hell did he just fight? Jesus.
Prograis.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
That was a good slugfest, man. And those guys are kind of like me towards the end of their career. So it's cool to see guys, that still got a little fight left in them, get in there, and they're not in there with, a 30-0 prospect getting knocked out on TV. So that was an exciting fight. And in the future, I just want to see, Boots fight a big name. Maybe Virgil Ortiz, Vander Zayat, something like that. I want to see those guys at 154 go at it. I think there's a lot of good fights to be made.
Who do you feel like right now is the face of the sport right now? Obviously, Canelo can kind of punch his own ticket, call his own shots, can pick his own opponents. Is he the guy still carrying the sport, or is there somebody else right now that's the pound-for-pound face of the sport right now? For a while, people would say it was Tank, but it seems like his stock has kind of plummeted a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's Canelo right now, but I think the clock is ticking, and it's just a matter of time before he has to pass the torch.
Is it Inoue?
I think Inoue is definitely one of the ones in line. Usyk, I think, can be the face here pretty soon in the next couple fights. But there's a lot of potential and a lot of big names that can definitely take that over.
Now, when you are back and fully recovered from your injury, at 35 years old, how active would you like to be, like, when you jump back in there? I mean, like, I'm assuming, are you planning on getting back in the ring in 2025?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to fight 2025. And if I can have my way, we'll fight at least 3 times next year before we make the decision or not to jump over to the bare knuckle side.
And what does life after boxing look like? Like when you hang it up for good, you're not climbing through any ropes anymore, either in boxing or bare knuckle. Do you feel like you'll make a clean break and do other things, or will you always have a foot in boxing? Are you interested in other elements, coaching, training, promoting, any of the other aspects of the game?
All the above. As you can see, the gym behind me, I already have a few fighters that I take under my wing and I help train. I've helped up and coming amateurs turn to professional, make their professional debuts, things like that. I've helped bare knuckle fighters. So I do plan on coaching, training, helping people with their physical fitness, and maybe promoting. I don't know. I'm thinking about getting a promoter's license here locally, starting up Pitbull promotions, so that way I can keep myself a little more busy. I think like I said earlier, I mean, boxing's already part of who I am. So, the more I can be a part of it in the future, the better. Definitely don't plan on leaving boxing behind me anytime soon.
Now, could you come down to 140 and have a battle with Isaac Cruz over the Pitbull name? Who had it first? And maybe we have a fight to see who gets to be the real Pitbull.
Well, I'm pretty sure I did have it first.
Okay, so you've got there you go, man. There you go. Now you've got to
Made my debut in '08. I don't know when Pitbull Cruz did, but I made my debut in '08. So
you
I've
might
been to
have a
Pitbull
legit
for a
beef.
really long time.
You might,
But
yeah.
honestly, I'm glad you asked because, like I said earlier, I can make 140. And if I were to make one more big run at a big world title, I think it would have to be at 140, and it could be at 140. So we'll see what happens.
So if he had a belt, we literally could see a battle of the pit bulls.
Very much so.
Yeah, well, holy crap, man! Wow, I see. I was trying to make a light joke there, and it turns into this could really come to fruition.
We might be manifesting it.
Yeah, no kidding. And so when you see these young fighters come to the gym, typically, what do you see young fighters make in terms of like mistakes? You know what I mean? Like when they're starting out their career, that you could maybe help correct. You know, if you are helping young fighters get their start as a coach or a trainer, you know what I mean? Like, what are some of the pitfalls and the obstacles that young fighters typically run into?
I think a lot of them make the mistake of thinking that boxing is fighting, because I did it a lot at a young age.
Yeah,
Boxing is not fighting, and boxing is not always violence. Boxing is a controlled violence, and that's what I try to tell a lot of the fighters that I train and that I bring up, that it's all about self-control and controlling that violence inside of you. So that's one of the biggest mistakes, and one of the things that I make a lot of my fighters work on at the beginning.
as a fighter, do you take offense when you hear a guy like Turkey Al Sheikh? Like, I know he's paying the fighters. He's making the best fight the best. He's done a lot for boxing. He's making great cards. He did away with pay-per-view. He really seems like he's really for the fans. But when he makes a statement like he doesn't want to see any more Tom and Jerry fights, you know, he's almost making it sound like if you're a guy that uses your legs, you're a defensive fighter. You know, I know sometimes it isn't crowd pleasing. You know, it gets a knock from the fans. You know, people want to see Gaddy Ward all the time. They want to see slugfest. They want to see knockouts. They want to see blood and guts and all that kind of stuff. But is it insultive when you're a fighter? Do you take it a certain kind of way? Because obviously, like a guy who fights that style has probably been doing so his whole career. If he's a mover, if he's a guy that, it comes to mind like the Shakur Stevensons, the Devin Haney's, these type of guys. It is their style. And why it might not be crowd pleasing, at the end of the day, boxing really is the art of hitting and not getting hit. Is Turkey Al Sheikh almost out of line for making a statement like that? A guy that's never climbed through the ropes?
I feel like he might be a little bit. He might be overstepping boundaries, but at the same time, like you said, he's the one paying these guys.
Yeah.
If it's your party, I mean, you get to pick the food. You get to pick what you want. You get to pick the music. So at the end of the day, I mean, what he says goes in his realm. So, I mean, that's his thing. But me personally, like you said, I mean, if you gotta, hit and move and move around a little bit to get the victory, at the end of the day, I think I'd rather look bad winning than look good losing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so you are based in New Mexico right now?
Albuquerque, New Mexico, yes.
And so what is the boxing scene like right there? You know, I know we made mention of Johnny Tapia, you know, your own career, obviously, but what's the boxing scene like down there right now in terms of young talent, up and coming fighters?
We got a bunch of young talent coming up. One of my good little buddies of mine, he's like a little brother to me, Yudubo Maru Jr. He just made his professional debut, and he was ranked, the top 2 or 3 in the nation for a long time. So he's definitely a future star. There's a lot of other up and coming pros that are on the radar. We have legacy promotions, Tapia promotions, people really putting on good local fights for us, keeping us busy. So the scene here is pretty good for the most part. I wish it was a little more active, which is why I want to try to get involved, try to do a little bit more for the boxing community. But for the most part, it's good. Could be better, but it's definitely steady.
When you got into fighting, did any part of it come natural to you? Like, were you a guy that was getting in a lot of street fights? I know a lot of guys get on here and they say, I was getting a lot of fights and that's what led me to a boxing gym. Is that the kind of history for you? And did you realize that at any point, like, hey, I've got hands, you know what I mean? Like, this kind of comes natural to me. Or was it really, really work for you?
No, that's exactly what it was. Like I said, when I fell in love with fighting with the boxing gloves and my mom did let me box, I was seeking it elsewhere. So I was picking fights in school.
Yeah.
I was, fighting in between classes on the ditch banks at recess, things like that. And the way I got into the sport was one of my good friends at the time was a boxer, and his dad was training him. So he pulled me into the gym, was like, man, you're always fighting, getting in trouble at school. Why don't you come
you could get paid for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? I can, fight and not get in trouble. Let's do it. Sign me up. So I did. And that's how I got involved in it.
And so, what do you think has been the best lessons that that boxing has taught you personally?
I think to work hard,
Yeah.
just to work hard, just to grind it out. You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but at the end of the day, you control what you put in.
Is it hard for you to get to the mental mindset that you have? Because one thing I keyed in on that you said a couple minutes ago, was that you are pretty well known in your area. But for a relatively young guy, you don't seem very disenfranchised by the or you don't seem like you've got delusions of grandeur. I'm going to get world titles. I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to get on pay-per-view. Yeah, how did you get that mindset? I mean, because most fighters, they want all that stuff. They're pushing for all that stuff. They're not happy or feel successful in their career or in their own skin if they haven't accomplished that stuff. How did you get to that mindset where you seem so, for lack of a better word, well-adjusted?
I just think it's just all the experiences I've been through, man. Just life in general, and I've been blessed. I have, a great family. I have two healthy and wonderful sons. I have a beautiful wife that loves me regardless whether I'm fighting or not. So I think just the fact that I'm a winner outside of the ring, I think anything in boxing and things like that is just a plus to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I have I don't know, 2 or 3 really nice titles. I'm the state New Mexico champion. I have 2 WBC minor belts. And I mean, they collect dust in the closet because those things aren't important to me.
Yeah.
What I value most in life is my family and the people around me that I care about. And of course, God. God's been good to me, man. So I think that's what it is.
That's a great mindset, man. I hope that people really take that to heart. Young fighters hear that, man, because I do think, man, we were talking about young fighters and the mistakes they made. I think a lot of times, man, a lot of young guys probably want that, and they want all that immediately. You know what I mean? You talk about hard work and everything, it's like they want all that stuff, the titles, the money, the fame, the pay-per-view numbers, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's easy to kind of slide off the rails a little bit, especially when you're on a big stage and a lot of eyes are on you.
Yeah, and for the longest time as a young fighter, I thought I wanted that too. And then you get those kind of things, and you experience those kind of things, and you realize that it's not all that it's cracked up to be. And then you realize that there are things that are far much more important than that, and that's where you really start to realize those things.
Listen, man, I'm glad we got a chance to do this, man. I really enjoyed the conversation, man. I appreciate it, man. I especially appreciate the fact that you're at the gym, man, and just got your grind on, man, and you were kind enough to, even sweating, jumped on here. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And as soon as you got some news on a fight, something's popping off, man, hit me up. I would love to have you back on again. It was really enjoyed talking to you, man.
I'll definitely reach out. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it, Josh. Thank you. Good talking to you, my friend.
Care.
All right, you too, man. Thank you. There he goes, folks. Josh Pitbull Torres, Albuquerque, New Mexico, stand up, home of the late, great Johnny Tapia, who was a coach and mentor to Josh Torres. Man, that's some heady stuff right there, man. Really a well-adjusted guy, man. Great to see in the sport, man. Putting family over everything else. That's really what it's all about. That's the kind of person that I am too, man. We're just family above everything. It sounds cliche, and people get it tattooed on themselves, and they go around spewing that rhetoric, but not many people really, truly embrace it and are really all about it. And so it's refreshing to hear a guy say, hey, you know what? Belts, pay-per-view numbers, fame, glory, all that stuff, all fine and dandy, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. And it's really not, man. If you've accomplished enough to feel good in your own skin and can look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I'm happy with where I'm at and with what I've done and with where I'm headed, that's a life well lived right there. So shout out Josh Pitbull Torres, 27-7-2, welterweight contender, coming back from an injury, hoping to see him back in the ring very soon, and super happy that he joined us on Off the Couch Boxing today. Great conversation. When he gets some news of a fight and something's popping, we will definitely have him back on again. So that being said, now I'll go into promo mode, and you guys can either sit through it or not, but I got to do it. You have a podcast, you got to promote. So here I go, pimping my podcast. Let me get out the pimp hand. It's feeling strong today. And here we go. Make sure to tune in to Off the Couch Boxing. Well, happen first on the Facebook page. Off the Couch Boxing and Pod Scum, both of my podcasts, one Facebook page. So tap in. You'll find out what's going on with Off the Couch Boxing in terms of new episodes, when they're dropping, who will be on those episodes, and any other big boxing news. If it is popping off in the fight game, your boy Reckless Rexx has got you covered. I put up all the big news when I come across it. Big fight announcements, fight results, breakdowns, predictions, analysis, viral videos, something's popping off at a weigh-in or a press conference, anything. If it's big news and it comes across your boy's radar, I'm putting it up there, man. You guys will be informed. So tap in with us on Facebook. And of course, if you're watching right now, you are in the right place. You have arrived. Pat yourself on the back. And while you're here, like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell to stay tapped in. This is where you need to be. This is where it all really goes down. The greatest boxing content, and of course, I'm a little biased, the greatest boxing content anywhere on planet Earth. Literally something for everybody. Dive in. We are now officially north of 270 episodes of Off the Couch Boxing. So, whatever your fancy is, if you want to hear conversations with the OGs, with the legends of the sport, we got them. If you want to hear from the future world champions and the up and coming young guns, we got them. So dive in, check out those past episodes, literally something for everybody. And that right there, that playlist, those past episodes, that's why I make the claim and firmly stand by it, that we are the undisputed, undefeated heavyweight champion of boxing podcasts, period. With that being said, the good news is for you guys watching, you guys can also be champions. Yes, you can. And the formula is very simple. All you got to do is continue to stay tapped in to Off the Couch Boxing and continue to roll with the champs. Peace.